Hello YouTube, Marielle here. My narcissist said he loved me every time we were together. He told me I was perfect. He told me I had been made just for him. I couldn't believe my luck. He always listened to me with so much attention. His hands were always caressing me, always reaching out for me. His physical demands on my body were a lot to deal with. And yet, the contradictions were there. Those contradictions are undeniable when I look back. You know, it's just like what they say, hindsight is 20/20, right? I don't remember seeing his desire for me in his eyes ever for me. I don't remember that. But he was always bragging, you know, always bragging about being able to see my desire for him in my eyes. He said he just knew all he had to do was just look at me. And that was kind of the mistake he made, because that's when I started to search in my memory bank and wonder, because it was a concept I didn't quite, it's something I never really thought about. I've never been out there with my sexuality, or I met him when I was 19, I was very young, and I didn't go out a lot, I didn't have boyfriend after boyfriend, I didn't have, a lot of experience. And those are things I never really thought about or looked at or paid attention to. So when he brought that subject to my attention, obviously I couldn't help myself but wonder, and then start to think, oh, that's actually true what he's saying, huh? But what about him? He made me feel like I was everything, and yet he always dropped me and left me alone at every single opportunity. There was another contradiction. And instead of me questioning why he was always leaving me so easily for long periods of time, instead I actually felt proud that it was obvious that he knew that he could trust me, and that made me feel good. Even if I did ask, why are you acting that way? Why are you always leaving? He always had a fantastic excuse, and it was always related to work. It was always work related, which I wasn't suspicious, and I would not have been able to alleviate my suspicion if I had been suspicious, which I wasn't. And also, the only way I can see I could have maybe nipped it in the bud, if you want, would have been if I was an emotionally demanding type of person, or already a jealous type of person, always asking where you been, who you been with, and why you're so late, and where you going. And I've never been that kind of person. My personality, relaxed personality, really allowed him those spaces. He just took advantage of it. But slowly over time, I was aware that he could be more present. But then I couldn't help but start projecting all of those lack of activity or his distance onto myself. And I'll start thinking, well, maybe I just talk too much. So I'll try to talk less. Then I would start to think that maybe I'm too demanding, which was absolutely not true at all. Um, but it was a case of then I'll ask less of his time. Just constantly making the effort to include him and make things work. I mean, I even thought that the dynamic of having a living girlfriend and then the fiance and then the wife, which was me, was probably just freaking him out. And because I had learned by then that men don't like to be tethered, and an awful lot of them shy away from either commitment or responsibilities. So I thought that my best option was really to learn to be patient, to cultivate patience, not even realizing I was already a very patient person in the first place. So I tried to calm myself down and kept telling myself, just have to be patient and giving time so he could ease into his role, because I didn't want to scare away the beautiful African grey parrot that kept telling me over and over nice things. Well, the fact is, he never grew or eased into anything. He just got worse. Simply because, the reason number one is, now that I am aware of what's happening and of his pathology, people like that are incapable of bonding with anyone. Reason number two is, with people like that can actually be covert aggressors. No one else but you, the target, get to see the flashes of the face behind the mask. And because you are the only one who sees it, there is nobody there really who can give you a feedback or warn you, that can help you to interpret some of the signs that you might see, because they are so covert, so passive, so under the radar, especially at the beginning, that you cannot make the difference between what they are, psychopath and sociopath, and with NPD, and a normal person, a normal man who has just got some intimacy issues, or just doesn't want to commit or have some kind of insecurity of their own. You just can't make the difference. And people like that, they are not just covert aggressors, they are master manipulators with a huge assortment of tools and well-owned techniques in their minds. They're well equipped, and all of those techniques and tools, you have to realize as well that they've been sharpening those things since they started playing with bugs and worms as toddlers. So any naive target with no reference point or prior experience is doomed to fall for the love bombing stage. I mean, from what I see on YouTube from a few even a few gurus, is that they didn't just fall once for those kind of people. They ended up having relationships with those sort of people, not just once, but sometimes twice, and sometimes even 3 times, which I would never wish something like that to happen to anyone, of course, not even to my worst enemy. But it helps me feel a little bit more better about my what I could easily call foolishness or naivety or stupidity. I mean, another thing as well to think of is that those people, they are not just any kind of people. Within the human realm, they are literally top predators. That's what they are. They are human. They are human who prey on other humans. They are predators. And you take the likes of those kind of people who have no qualms knowing that they don't love that person, they don't need that person, they possibly dislike them, and yet they will marry you, they will have children with you, and they will take their time not just to seduce you, but they will take their time to get to know you, to get to know everything about you, so that they can take you down piece by piece. I mean, they could not be a better example of being stalked by a jaguar, by an animal in the forest. That is just it. They are predators, and they are so skilled, and they are so smart. Therefore, they know how to adapt their skills and tools to match perfectly the walls that surround any of their targets. Breaching, then breaking those walls that surround the target, to them is a labor of love. I mean, it's incredible to think in those terms. Recently, I've started to, whenever I don't feel good, whenever it gets a little bit too much for me, I try to tell myself over and over that at least now I know I did nothing wrong. At least now I know I've got to forgive myself for allowing myself to fall in love with such a person. I have to forgive myself for not knowing better, not being able to see what was inside his head, which is actually, when you think about it, impossible. I have to forgive him for being born this way, or to have been raised this way. And they say that forgiveness is important, and it's part of the process, not just to heal, part of the process for everything, from understanding, from letting go, from making peace, and so that you can move on. And sometimes it's hard. Some days are better than others. But there's one quote that resonates really well with me, is the one that Oprah said about forgiveness. And here it is. She said, "Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could have been any different." And I agree with that. What is done is done. And I suppose it is what I do with the knowledge that I am actively trying to acquire, and how I respond. Ugh. Yes, how I respond to his behavior, and having a clear vision of exactly what I'm trying to achieve here with his while I'm trying to respond to his attacks. I have to keep that clear in my mind at all time, and being able to tell myself over and over that I have to forgive him, I have to forgive myself, and I have to find a way to let go of the past, my dreams, what I had dreamt for all of us as a family, as a couple, as a unit. I have to let go of that. But I am still going to try to work out what happened to me, why it happened to me, so that I can make sure that I don't let myself down again, so that I can make sure I don't find myself again in a similar situation ever again.